It's too funky.
I can remember a defining moment of seeing an artist on television painting, and I must have been about 6 or 7, something like that, and immediately I wanted to do that, and I got my mum to buy me some paints, and I started from there. There's not really a moment in any day that you're not really thinking about something in a creative sense. It doesn't matter what it is.
It sounds like it's California.
I think everybody's born with creative potential, and everyone, when you're young, you find the opportunities to be creative and do interesting creative things, and people encourage you to do that. Often as we go through life, then that gets kind of discouraged. You go through a schooling system where people want you to learn a bunch of stuff. They're not so interested in people being artistic or creative. And then maybe later in life, people find opportunities to start doing that again. But lots of people don't necessarily. And I think we need to give them opportunities to be able to exercise those creativity muscles. I've talked about factory learning as this kind of system where people are mostly meant to learn a bunch of facts and reproduce them in exams, which is part of the system we're in, where schools need to be graded according to their performance, which means you need to have tests, which means you need to have people learning the answers to tests. That's not a good system in terms of creativity, I think, because what you want is people thinking freely, solving problems in their own imaginative way, not in some prescribed way, which is the one that the teacher told you. So I think we need a system which encourages and rewards creativity and innovation much more. And that would be good for everybody. I think creativity is just a constant that we always all need to be doing.
It's too funky.
I'm always surprised if people have an interest. You know, it's not something I'm expecting, but I'm always pleased when it happens. Because I was drawing, I got my children drawing from a young age. They had no difficulty with it. The difficulty comes when they get to about 12, perhaps a bit earlier, and then they compare it to other people. I think it's very natural in all people to be able to draw and be creative, until they start comparing themselves, and then they get tangled up with their lack of what they see as perhaps something more superior to what they're doing, which is not the case, but we very get self-critical at a period at a time of our lives, I think, when you can overcome that struggle and keep going, then that's good.
I think my life is defined by creativity. It's how I live my life. But I would have said the most significant moment in my life was snowboarding on a mountain. We'd all saved up to go heliboarding, and we had the perfect day. You know, the powder was up to here. It was perfect, crystal blue skies. I had my 3 best mates with me, and we had the most epic day. And I was sat at the bottom, just above the helicopter, waiting for the others to come down. And for me, it was like, this is the most fantastic thing I've ever done. I want my life to be more like this. And I promised myself I would make 2 lists of all the things I loved doing and all the things I hated, and that I would change that in 3 months. And I did. I left my job. I got out of a messy relationship. I started to be to be much more creative and to think about it. So it was the genesis of deciding to live a much more creative life, and our entire business is built out of that.
Really think that everyone's creative. Like, a lot of people will go, they'll see a picture and then the first thing they'll say is like, oh, I can't even draw a stick man. But you kind of forget that when you're a kid, like, if you took 100 children and then put like a bucket of Lego in front of them, like, not one of them will sit there and like just not do anything. When I was a kid, probably sort of predator, far too young, and that. Going back to what I was saying about my old man and that, is like, he was always creative, he was always like doing stuff. So probably making like a box with elastic around here, and it was the push out blades, and be running around like a lunatic in a garden, like going after an imaginary Arnie, and